Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life. I feel alive when I got a goal in sight. Chip away, I gotta fight. Ain't nobody else in sight. Man, I think I see the light. Yeah, that shit is so bright. Follow me, I got the guide. See you on the other side, son. Ain't nobody know what I've been through. Ain't nobody.
What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving you my UFC 291 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, July 29, 2023. Poirier versus Gaethje 2 out of Salt Lake City, Utah. What an absolute banger of a main card. And even on the prelims, you got some fights there. This card, I think, can compete with UFC 290. We just have to wait and see. Got some names on it, top down. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting card. Looking forward to it. Always looking forward to the pay-per-views, man. Like, they do a good job putting together some of these pay-per-views. It reminds me of the old days where they're, like, super stacked, right? I just had everybody on them. So, looking forward to this one. Looking to do better than I did last week with the 8-7. Came off of 11-2 to go to an 8-7. Just not the best. But some of those fighters I picked, I just thought they were going to do other things. As we know, can't always think like that. So, hopefully I do better this week. But mostly, hopefully you guys enjoy the fights just like I'm going to on Saturday night. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. In the first fight on the main card, we have Michael Chiesa, 18-6, taking on Kevin Holland, 24-9, and 1 no contest in a welterweight bout. So for Michael Chiesa, he's coming off 2 losses. And I think it's just because Sean Brady was better grappler than him, right? And then Chiesa on the feet, it's not like he's knocking people out. So they wasn't really able to give anything to Sean Brady on the feet, and then Brady just was able to control him. He loses a unanimous decision. Against Vicente Luque, he kind of gives up a position. He ends up getting the takedown, but then he kind of gets reversed, and the next thing you know, Luque is submitting him. Just not the best. Just made the wrong decision in that moment, and it cost him the fight. Before that, he takes on Neil Magny, beats him. Dos Anjos beats him, decision. Beats Diego Sanchez, decision. That doesn't really give me too much. You know, when he took on Anthony Pettis, he loses via submission. When he takes on Kevin Lee back then, he loses via submission. He's been around for a while, but when he's got that like next competition to where he can start stringing together to get into the top, he kind of is unable to do that. And on top of that, it's not like he's submitting everyone that he fights. And in his last 2 fights, low volume in all of his fights too. Right, he's not a striker. He's trying to take people down. And if you can defend those takedowns, which I'm not saying Kevin Holland isn't going to get taken down, but I do think he's going to make it hard for him to do that. And if he does take him down, I think Holland's going to be doing all that he can to get back up. And that could even mean elbowing him on the floor. Obviously, what we saw with Cachoeira, like he's gonna try to get back up. He's not gonna just accept that position. Maybe back in the day he would, but not now. Kevin Holland's coming off of a win over Santiago Ponzinibbio. He got that late KO TKO in round number 3. That was a really good fight for him. I think he just was waiting for his opportunity to catch Ponzinibbio, and he just knew if he landed that big shot, he was gonna eventually put him away. And Kevin Holland has a pretty good chin as well. We saw that against Stephen Thompson. I mean, he fought an elite level striker in Stephen Thompson, and he went toe to toe with him. Like, he didn't shy away from him. He did take him down twice, but he let him get back up. He was going toe to toe with Stephen Thompson, and that's the thing with Holland is he's overall like a good fighter. It's not like he's great at anything, but he can get through guys like Tim Means, Alex Oliveira. Obviously, Jacare Souza probably when he was a little bit on his way out. And then early on in his career, you know, Joaquin Buckley, Anthony Hernandez, Gerald Mearshart. But then when he gets up to like the next level of competition, Derek Brunson, Marvin Vettori, he struggles with their elite level grappling, right? He takes on Khamzat Chimaev. Now, granted, it's on short notice, but still struggles with the grappling. Takes on Stephen Thompson, elite level striker, struggles with the striking. So I think when he fights these guys that are next level, best at what they do, it's challenging for him to run through them. But then he fights someone like Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's like gonna give him some openings for him to hit him, isn't gonna be shooting in for a takedown every 10 seconds, gonna engage right in some big exchanges. It's Holland's fight to win because he doesn't have to worry about the grappling, and then he's able to kind of just wait for the opportunity to knock him out. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Because I didn't think Ponzinibbio was going to drop Holland 4 times or something like that. And so now he's taking on Michael Chiesa, who I think he's good with the grappling, but I don't think he's the best at it. And obviously on the feet, I don't think Chiesa is going to be wanting to trade with Holland back and forth, because Holland's going to be stringing together more combinations, be in his face, be aggressive, and Chiesa, he doesn't like that. He wants that space. That's why he's always circling out. I mean, he trips over himself when he's doing all that. So I can see Chiesa, you know, throwing out pawing stuff, like a pawing jab, maybe trying to put together some combinations, but mostly circling, and then if Holland's able to shut that down and drop him, or even light him up with a combination, I can see Chiesa diving in, Holland pulling off a submission, or I can just see Holland pretty much beating him up over the course of those 3 rounds, defending a couple takedowns. And even if Holland does get taken down, I'm not like, oh, it's all over. Unless Chiesa just looks really good and Holland just gets stuck, I guess. But on the feet, man, I just feel like Holland's going to do a lot. And he's going to be able to stop him from circling around, and he's going to get in his face to where he can hurt him. And I think if Kevin Holland can hurt him and put him on the floor, I think he's going to be able to win the fight pretty good. So for me, I'm going to go Kevin Holland to defeat Michael Chiesa by round 2, KO TKO. In the second fight on the main card, we have Tony Ferguson, 26-8, taking on Bobby Green, 29-14-1, no contest, in a lightweight bout. Very interesting fight, just because to me it's pretty self-explanatory. I feel like Bobby Green is not on the decline. I think he's just had some tough outings. When you look at his fight against Jared Gordon, it's a no contest. Unfortunate. I thought he was doing well until he lost. When you look at Drew Dober fight, he's winning the first round, and then he decides to start doing that thing where he's a little bit too much showboat and dropping his hands. And then just at that point, when you're that close to someone and you just drop your hands like that, it's literally whoever gets hit first wins. And so he gets crushed. But I thought he was beating up before then. Makhachev, short notice. I mean, who's beating Makhachev on short notice? Not really a good thing to see and judge Bobby Green off of. And then Bobby Green took on Nasrat Haqparast, significantly outstruck him, unanimous decision, beats Ally Quinta, KO TKO in round number 1. I'm not seeing a decline here. I'm just seeing the no contest. That's unfortunate. And then the Islam Makhachev fight, I mean, glad he showed up to it. And then Drew Dober, yeah, I mean, just unfortunate. When you look at Tony Ferguson, you look at his last fight where he didn't look the fast, he didn't look the fastest. He looked a little bit sluggish. His timing to me was a little bit off. And I think the best Tony Ferguson destroys Nate Diaz. And so I didn't see that night. And then Diaz wins via guillotine in round number 4. So that to me, you got to be, if you're going to be on that next level, you got to be destroying Nate Diaz. Before that, he gets absolutely destroyed, KO'd brutally against Michael Chandler via that front kick in round number 2. Has success early on, but then just gets destroyed. That had to have sucked for him. And honestly, he took that September 10th fight pretty soon after he lost against Michael Chandler. But he still showed that he has a good chin in that one. But Neil Darrius gets absolutely controlled. Charles Oliveira controlled. Justin Gaethje just beat up until the 5th round when he gets stopped, but just absolutely ace shots in that fight. Just wasn't a good look for him. So he's ate a lot of damage, man. He's fought killers in his last 5 fights. But he just looks a little bit different. He doesn't look like the guy that was taking on Pettis and running through Donald Cerrone and even Dos Anjos, right? It doesn't look like that same guy. And for me, that's concerning. So the only thing I can think of is maybe Bobby Green, he's going to do his classic thing and Ferguson's able to take advantage of that and catches him. But other than that, I just feel like Green's going to be able to stay on him, utilize his good head movement, not get hit, piece him up. Ferguson shoots him for a takedown. He defends the takedown and just stays on him and is able to just light him up. Unless Green gets careless and gets dropped, I don't really see Ferguson being able to beat Bobby Green at this point. I think Green's going to be hungry to get that win instead of a no contest. He probably knows he made that simple mistake against Drew Dober in a fight that he was winning. And so he's going to want a victory in here somewhere. So I think he has to just run through Ferguson if he wants to stay relevant in this division. And then for Ferguson, I mean, he's just going to have to pretty much find a way to get Green to start getting wild and take advantage maybe of like a spinning elbow out of nowhere. I think Ferguson is going to want to get this fight to the ground too. It's just I don't think Green's going to make it that easy for him to do. And then on the feet, Green's going to be able to piece him up. Unless we see Tony Ferguson look absolutely different and he just comes out here looking fast and all that. Maybe I'm wrong, but... And if you are going to fade Bobby Green, I guess he's a good fighter to fade because he does do these things where this dude's trying to drop his hands and just RNG slugfest against Drew Dober that close. I mean, I guess it is a good fade. If you feel it, I would go with Tony Ferguson. I don't feel it. So I'm going with Bobby Green to defeat Tony Ferguson by round 2 KO TKO. In the third fight on the main card, we have Stephen Thompson, 17-6-1, taking on Michel Pereira, 28-11, 0-2 no contest in a welterweight bout. Both fighters are coming off victories. So you have Stephen Thompson coming off that victory against Kevin Holland. A really good fight for him, a good back and forth, but eventually Thompson shows his striking, his kicking, everything, pretty much, outside of getting taken down 2 times. It's just on another level. And his durability and then obviously the cardio, he's able to just slug it out with Holland and was able to put him away. So that was a good fight for him. Against Belal Muhammad, he gets taken down 7 times, loses unanimous decision. Against Gilbert Burns, gets taken down 3 times. Low output fight for him, and honestly both of those fights, but gets a unanimous decision loss. Against Jeff Neal, significantly outstrikes him, unanimous decision victory. Against Vicente Luque, significantly outstrikes him as well, unanimous decision victory. Loses the Pettis, loses the Darren Till, Masvidal, he beats him. He's always been pretty consistent. He's been up and down, beats some guys, loses to some guys. Fought Tyron Woodley, took a draw with him for the first time, then lost majority decision in the next fight. But very close fights. Mainly for me, Thompson needs an aggressive dance partner, right? So if he's fighting guys that are just going to take him down, he kind of gets stuck. But Belal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns are, elite level grapplers. Pereira, I don't think is an elite level grappler, and I don't see Pereira finding too much success going in for those takedowns. I think Thompson's going to be able to get out of there, threaten with the kicks, and then try to snipe him when he's coming in, but also being able to defend the takedowns. I just don't see Pereira like diving in, boom, got him, boom, got him. No, Thompson has pretty good takedown defense, and Pereira is a wild guy, right? Like, he definitely has good volume. Like, he's gonna stay aggressive. He's gonna definitely try to bring the fight to Thompson, but he's just a little bit too wild for me. Like, he has good power and all that, but I think there's moments where Thompson, just with his fundamentals, I think he's going to be able to pick him apart, right? With the side kick, blitzing him, darting in, pop, 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 hit him with the left. He's going to string together these combinations that I feel like when Pereira rushes him is not going to go well, right? I feel like Thompson waits to counter you, and Pereira, maybe he gets frustrated because Thompson, just the way he naturally fights, and then Pereira runs in on him, and then you see Thompson be able to tag him up a bit here and there. But Pereira is tough. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Michel Pereira is pretty tough. So to say that, like, he's going to get taken out. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think Stephen Thompson can piece him up enough to where you can just kind of tell that he's the better striker. Obviously, Pereira can catch him, right? Maybe he is able to like hit him with a flying knee or something like that. Although since those earlier fights, he doesn't really fight like that. He's not too crazy. Like he still tries to, I would say he's a little bit more, not patient, but just he's not going too crazy. Against like Ponzinibbio, that was a good fight for him. Split decision victory, back and forth. Against Andre Fialho, just more volume, unanimous decision victory. Got a takedown. Took down Nico Price 3 times. Chaos William 2 times. This is by far the best striker that he's going to face. So, yeah. Pereira has to be careful with getting countered and just dealing with that elite level style that Thompson has. And the experience as well. So, I feel like Pereira is going to struggle here. And Thompson's going to be able to kind of pick him apart. If Pereira wants to make this really competitive, he's going to just have to keep coming forward and being that person who finds a way to, maybe take out the legs of Thompson. He's just going to have to do a lot, and that's just why I feel like it's not going to work for him. But he's tough. Thompson's tough. I'd be surprised if either guy gets, annihilated. Anything can happen, but I expect like a pretty good fight. Maybe Pereira will have moments where he is able to land on Thompson, but I think mostly Thompson's just going to frustrate him, keep him at a distance, kick him a lot, fire off those counters, and just kind of win a decision. So I'm going to go Stephen Thompson to defeat Michel Pereira. I'll take him to win by decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we have Jan Blachowicz 29-91 taking on Alex Pereira 7-2 in a light heavyweight bout. So this is an interesting fight because Blachowicz, I feel like his last fight, they disrespected him. They just said, it just wasn't the best fight. And it really wasn't. It was a draw. Not the best fight. He gets taken out twice in that one. Ankalaev didn't really do much in there. But Blachowicz, he did what he did against a guy that was going to kind of take him down. And yeah, unfortunately, that fight just didn't go well for either of those guys. Kind of put the division in a weird place. And then they kind of just wrote both of them off. In the fight before that, he wins against Rakic. KO in round number 3. But obviously with that leg injury, he was doing pretty good though. He was landing some pretty good shots in there. I didn't think he looked like trash. Against Glover Teixeira, elite level grappler, he loses, gets pretty dominated, and then submitted. Against Irsa Adesanya, he defeats him in a fairly, I would say, easy way. Takes him down, beats him up. Dominic Reyes takes him out. Corey Anderson takes him out. Jacare Souza, split decision. Luke Rockhold, KO round number 2. Blachowicz, he's kind of just been all over the place. Like, he wins, he loses against guys who can do better grappling than him or guys that can strike better than him. I think Ankalaev did a little bit better on the feet too. But again, nothing crazy. He needs someone to go to war with. And on the feet, Alex Pereira is going to keep this fight standing. At least he's going to want to. And you hear Blachowicz saying that he'll trade with him and all that. But at the end of the day, the thing that sketches me out the most is I do believe Pereira probably will have the better striking. You can go for a lot of the kicking game. Nasty hands. You don't want to get hit by this guy. But at the same time, man, in close, when Pereira starts, I guess, trading back and forth with his opponent, those hands, very upright stance, and those hands are just kind of out there, leaving his chin exposed. And when you're fighting someone like Blachowicz, who, now don't get me wrong, it's not like Blachowicz just get knocked out in every fight, let alone really hasn't been finished on the feet since he took on Thiago Santos in 2019, right? So it's not like he's getting knocked out. But so I do think Pereira can land on him. But, in close, man, Blachowicz can generate some nasty power. And, I could see him putting away Alex Pereira pretty good if Pereira starts trading with him wildly inside against the fence, anything like that. And not just how Adesanya did it, where he kind of read him. saw that he was leaving himself a little exposed, so he kind of went for the same shot, tagged him, went for the same shot, put him away. Like Blachowicz, if he can close that distance and even get into that clinching range, dirty box with him, like Blachowicz is going to be able to land some nasty shots in close. And that to me just sketches me out a little bit, because I could see Pereira winning the fight, doing his thing, and then boom, he gets absolutely just destroyed. Or Blachowicz is able to kind of get in on him, take him down, and then when he's on the ground, start dropping bombs on his head. So that to me is just like I understand how dangerous Alex Pereira is, but with all that aggression, dangerous style, intimidating style, strength, power, there are weaknesses that you can expose. And Blachowicz has seen everything, right? He's been in there against the top level guys. So it's not like he's going to be in here scared. He's not worried about it. And even him, he's not knocking everybody out each fight, but he has nasty power and he can take people down if he needs to. And especially guys who don't have that elite level defensive grappling or wrestling and all that. And I know Pereira is obviously working with Glover Teixeira, but that doesn't mean he is Glover Teixeira. So, but at the same time, maybe Pereira thinks maybe he goes in there and takes him down. But I would assume the fight starts on the feet. Pereira's doing his classic, waiting, kicking him when he needs to. Blachowicz is going to have to check those leg kicks, fire back with his own leg kicks, close the distance, dirty box, try to land those hooks in close, keep his defense up. And if things get a little bit crazy, Blachowicz is going to have to look to the grappling and see if he can take him down, put him up against the fence, land shots in close. When he does take him down, if he's able to, he's going to have to get to work, drop bombs on his head. Whereas Pereira just wants to keep the fight standing, just wants to kind of overwhelm Blachowicz, find that opening to where he can tag him, and then start putting together those combinations. But even in that, it is sketchy that Pereira fights the way he does when he leaves himself so exposed, because he just gets confident. He starts whipping the shots. Boom, boom. But in that, his head's just there to get hit. And if you can find that moment to hit him, as we saw with Adesanya, who reads that opening and fires at him, he takes him out. Something to keep an eye on. Blachowicz is not some guy that people just run through, right? It's not like he's been losing all of his fights and he's trash. So I would not count out Blachowicz, even though he's not going to be on that same level of kickboxing. I still think if he can find one shot in close, just as much as Pereira, he can finish this fight. So, gotta be careful. I'm gonna go with Jan Blachowicz to defeat Alex Pereira. I'll take him to win by round 2, KO TKO. In the main event of the evening, we have Dustin Poirier, 29-7 in 1 no contest, taking on Justin Gaethje, 25-4 in a lightweight bout for the BMF title. Main event, second time these guys are going to fight each other. Pretty exciting. I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a fight. I actually think this fight might go all 5 rounds, just because I know they want to get in a car crash. Justin Gaethje said that, but I feel like Justin Gaethje, I understand it's for the BMF, I understand. But I feel like if he wants to win the fight and do it to where he's not sacrificing himself so much throughout the fight, because I feel like Poirier he's just one of these guys where it's hard to beat him up. And he can stay in there with you. He can take damage. He can still land hard punches. And we saw that against when he fought Justin Gaethje for the first time. He was able to pretty much just keep beating him up and outstrike him until the 4th round where he was able to put him away. Even after eating big shots from Gaethje, taking a lot of leg kicks, he still finds a way to win. So you can't really outdog Dustin Poirier. He comes in there and you really have to kill him. You have to flatline him. You have to just sub him. And that's what we've seen from Khabib Nurmagomedov and then Charles Oliveira. It was really the only way you can get this guy, right? Everyone else, he kind of just is able to dominate on the feet and find a way to win, which to me, very impressive. And, he hits hard. I mean, when you look at that one lone loss to Michael Johnson, that's crazy to see, because you obviously Michael Johnson is struggling in the UFC, and obviously never was able to find the success like Dustin Poirier. But Poirier is not getting knocked out. He's not getting finished outside of being out grappled, and that to me is impressive. When he has a fight where he can just stand and bang with a guy, it's just his preferred way of fighting, in my opinion. Now, Justin Gaethje has obviously gotten better, but at the same time, I still feel like he fight like against Fiziev, he fought a little. It felt a little bit more reserved, and maybe if he does that, this fight goes to a decision. We still see a back and forth fight, but maybe Gaethje isn't throwing himself out there as much because he's not gonna win. Even if it is an exciting fight, he's not gonna win anything if he just goes out there, kind of tires himself out, really gets pieced up with the combinations, countered off the leg kick, because he throws that nasty leg kick. But Poirier, you can counter that. You can fire back with your own shots. You can string together the combinations, throw your own leg kicks. And a lot of what Gaethje does is that lunging forward with the hooks, and it works like when it lands, and he'll stay on you. That's the other thing. Gaethje will come forward. He'll be in your face. But there's a lot of times where his defense is just not what it needs to be, and Poirier finds those openings and picks him apart. I don't really think this fight goes to the ground. Gaethje, he's not going to be diving in for takedowns, and I don't really see Poirier doing the same thing. Maybe he does somewhere in there, but I don't think so. I don't think either guy's going to want to get this fight to the floor. But if Gaethje tries to fight a little bit safe, and I don't mean safe as in like he's going to not do what he normally does, more so just at the fact of him slowing it down to where he's not super gassed out, just rushing in on Poirier. He's still gonna throw down when they get in close. Like Gaethje's gonna throw down, but maybe he just fights a little bit more reserved and not as reckless. At least not to where he's chasing Poirier around, and then that might cause a decision. But I still think it's an exciting fight. I still think it's a banger, and I expect nothing less from both these guys. I think Gaethje can win. I mean, at the end of the day, he could catch him, put him away, but Poirier, man, is just nasty to deal with. The way he fights too, he's overall he just loves getting into those nasty fights, man. Like even against Dan Hooker, what a nasty fight, just back and forth. Dan Hooker takes him down 4 times, but on the feet, Poirier, I just think, was able to land the better shots, string together the better combinations, and he's just good like that. I think that's really what it comes down to. And Gaethje's not going to submit him, right? So he doesn't have to worry about that. Keeps the fight standing, makes it look a lot like the last fight, and yeah, we'll see. Gaethje, though, he's going to be a little bit more improved on the feet, but it's still, if he sits back, then the fight's not exciting, and I just don't feel like either guy's, this is for the BMF, right? I don't think either guy wants to fight reserved. Gaethje slowing down is still not me. It's not like he's going to do nothing. Like, oh, I'm going to just go for the takedown. No, like Gaethje will still be aggressive. It's just that he won't rush in and get countered so easily with his, just wild exchanges. Because Gaethje has to be careful tiring out a little bit. Because Poirier, man, that dude, he can go all 5 rounds. I mean, his fight against Max Holloway, too, is very good. That was a good fight for him. Pretty much all of his fights that he's won, even the ones against Conor McGregor recently, good fights for him. Just looks clean on the feet. But at the same time, he can brawl with you and he can finish you. He can get crazy. He can eat some shots. And so, yeah, I feel like Gaethje is going to have to do a lot more. He's going to have to really find a way to get past Poirier's striking and just start dropping bombs and back him up against the fence and just find a way to keep teeing off on him. But in that chaos, I still think Poirier can counter him. So I think it's a back and forth fight. I think it's a good fight, but overall, I think Poirier finds the way to get that victory. And yeah, I would expect fireworks, man. I don't expect this one to be boring at all. Looking forward to it. But I'm gonna go Dustin Poirier to defeat Justin Gaethje. I'll take him to win by decision.